Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dimitri. I am the CEO of Mind Studio. Joining me are Luis and Giorgio. If you guys have seen any of our tutorials, you've probably seen and heard Luis and Giorgio. They too hold these classes, but I asked them if I could show up and sort of do the dog and pony myself. And so you guys get me. Um, a few things before we get started. You don't need to take notes. All of this is being recorded and transcribed. We will provide notes. We've got a little outline that I have that I'm going to use, and then we'll share that with you afterwards. You guys can sort of sit back, relax, and listen, enjoy, watch. The second thing is if you have not yet at least installed the Chrome extension, then anytime is a good time to do it because then you might be able to follow along and build up some muscle memory, right? So maybe especially if you've got like some of you have two screens, you could have me on one screen and you could be doing stuff on another screen or side by side windows, right? And muscle memory, I think, is going to help you sort of grok kind of the rhythm of doing this. I'm going to show you what I mean by that in a moment. And so please install that extension. I'm hoping there are a bunch of you because you took the last class, I assume, although I'm sure there's some people who didn't in this class as well. But if you took the last class, hopefully you went and played around and you may have tried to build some agents because we taught you some of that. But here I'm going to try to sort of breeze through that really quickly and get to looking at agents, building agents, and the nuances of this stuff. There's lots of stuff for us to cover that we're going to do. And again, there's even more in the next class that we're going to do, the advanced class. So if you like this kind of stuff, you like learning it, then we promise to give you more opportunities to continue to level up. Okay, again, most of the rest of the time, you're not really going to see my face. And so you're going to see my screen, and that's where we're going to go. Okay. The other thing that I want to, as I share my screen, and thank you, Luis. Okay, here we go. I want to, for those of you that attended the last class that didn't just discover us today, in the last class, I showed you that using a bunch of these agents here, cost money. And this agent was like or 7/10, 7/100ths, I think, of a cent to run. But yesterday we made a big announcement actually. And so we basically took almost all of the agents in our agent store that are available here. Again, when you go to, browse agents, and you see these agents here, in research, analyze content, for creators, for students, YouTube, all these different things. The majority of these agents are now free. And you can see that when you click on them, you can see, run free. When you click on them, you can see run free. And these are completely free. And so you can just show up, install the extension, and use these things free of charge. Some agents that, again, just cost us a lot of money to run, we, pass those on to you as well. And so if you run these agents, this does cost money. And again, when you join, we actually give you $5 credit. So it would go to that. If you want to keep running these agents, you need to put in your credit card to do it. But again, the vast majority of agents, you just like randomly click on things, are free. I think there's like less than 10 agents that cost money, and it's basically these researchers and a couple of other big things. Okay, so play around with that. I wanted you guys to know that that was the case, and that's exciting. I actually got a bunch of, we sent out an email with this, and my email inbox blew up with people saying, "Oh my God, thank you, it's amazing." And so thank you to our venture capitalist friends, not to us. Okay, great. So let's dive in. So where do agents live? Right. So when you log in to Mind Studio, when you create an account, right, when you join, when you just, in incognito mode, I'm going to go and you go to Mind Studio, and when you sign up, right, and you connect with Google or Apple or your email, what you get is something called a workspace. And you see, you can find it here. You can click on this, and the workspace has settings, for example. So I can give it a name. I can give it a logo, which will replace this logo. So this could be like a company. If you were doing this, let's say you're building agents for a customer of yours. And so you can create a workspace for them and then put their company name in here and put their logo in here. Oh, sorry, this is the workspace name. Here's the company name. And then here you can actually toggle whether in that workspace, by default, it shows the public agents from our store, meaning these for creators, analyze content, does it show those? Or if you toggle this off, then it gets rid of those, and all it shows are the agents that you've created or they've created that belong in the workspace. And so you've got this capability of turning this off, saving changes, and then you've configured the workspace. The workspace also has integrations for, we'll talk about this a little bit, where you OAuth to various services that you might be using. And then the workspace also has, team members that you can assign, give them various rights, and do it. And so you've got a lot of flexibility on doing here. And so agents live in workspaces. You can have access to multiple workspaces. Here, we're just in my private workspace. Excuse me, private workspace. Okay, great. So that's workspaces. And so their workspaces are made of people and they are made of agents. They're not made of, meaning they hold people and agents. Okay. And so if we want to create a new agent, we can go here and we can go to build. And here we find agents that I've published and agents that are in draft mode. You're not going to have any if you're just getting started. But what you will have is this create new agent button. So one way to create a new agent is to go to build and say create new agent. And so we just created the scaffold of a new agent. And by the way, if we just want to take this agent and just publish it, we can do that. Like this is just a blank agent. It's called untitled. It, just has a start block and an end block, but it's published. It exists now. It's got a URL, for example. Okay, it doesn't do anything, but it's got a URL and it works. And then we can add a block here, obviously, and then publish it again. So you need to get into this, again, rhythm that it's really easy to start a new agent by going to build and saying create new agent. And then when you've done what you need to do, publish it, and you're done with an agent. And again, I'll show you how to access it from the Chrome extension and all that. So that's really easy to understand. You say start and you do that. Another way that you can build agents is by taking agents that are in our agent store and then making a copy of them. And so here, instead of running them from here, you could click this, for example, and see free, run free. This one's super, super powerful. Like basically on any YouTube video, you push a button and it writes an article for you. It's amazing. And you can publish it. You can instantly, if you wanted to create like a media business where you're publishing all of these articles about these amazing YouTube video reviews, and to create one, you just push a button. It's awesome and it's free. But that's not what I was going to show. I was going to show you that you can make a new agent by clicking here and saying make a copy. And so this too made a new agent. This agent's called copy of you, but this is a new agent. And yeah, I could go publish it. It does the same thing as the other agent does. I didn't change anything, but we just made a new agent. So two ways to make agents. Either you start from scratch, right? I'll go back again to show you how to find all of these things. I want to sort of be repetitive here for you guys. You can be in your workspace. You can go to build. You can say create new agent. That's one way to build a new agent. Another way to build a new agent is by being in the agent store, either here or in anywhere else that you find this, and simply clicking on these three dots and saying make a copy. So those are the ways you can start creating agents. Okay, and another thing we've seen is that agents are made up of things called workflows, right? And let's maybe quickly take a look at this agent. We're just going to make a copy of it. So agents are made up of these things called workflows. You can have many workflows. By default, you have one. I think all the things we'll be teaching today are going to be one. You'll see that with one, you get incredible power. With many, you get infinite power in a sense. So they're made up of workflows. And then the other thing that's important is that agents basically expose triggers, are made up of triggers. And that means like what triggers this agent to go into sort of running. One is the browser extension that we've seen before, right? Let's go ahead and go use this. I'll go to YouTube and we'll find some video. and then we can be over here and expand this and run something. And so that now triggered an agent to go and find this and run it, okay? And so that's one thing that they can be triggered by browser extension. Another way they can be triggered is by being scheduled, meaning that every hour, every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And then I can say generate schedule, and this will say, great, I will run every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific. See, no weekends, just weekdays. And I can say save, and then this thing on the schedule is going to trigger up and is run. Okay, and then you can also make these things run by sending them an email. And so each agent here gets a unique email address. Actually, each workflow gets a unique email address. And then you can copy this and you can forward an email to this agent, or you can send an email to it, or you can go into your email, into your email rules and say whenever an email arrives, from this sender or for me, or has the subject, go ahead and automatically forward it to my agent. And then these agents can also send emails. And so here, for example, you can enable a notification. Once this agent finishes, it can send you an email with the result or just a notification. And so this is important to know. Again, agents are made of workflows. Those workflows have these start blocks that you configure with these triggers, okay? The other thing you can do is you can set these to on demand, which in fact is the default. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means a couple of things. It means that you can build agents that have front-end interfaces. Sorry, let me grab one here and show you like this one. We're going to quickly make a copy of this to see what this agent does. This agent has these things called user inputs. You can see here there. And these user inputs allow us, you see if we publish this agent and open it up, to make things that are applications, right? This is an app. This is just a web application, and it has forms. What's the name of your company, or what the company you're speaking with? This is a sales collateral generator. What's the name of the company that you're targeting? What does it do? What's the name of the representatives? What's their title? Are they the final decision maker or not, etc. And once you configure that, then you push go, this thing goes and uses all of these variables that it collected. There it is, company name, company info, and other things. And then you see there's the rep name, rep title. We'll dive into this in a bit. And then, it outputs custom sales collateral for them. And so you can do that because this thing is configured to run on demand. Another example here of the same thing, which is, let's do it here. Close this. This is another one. This allows you to upload a document, like a book, for example, and then it'll take that document and it will run it through the workflow and give us, in this case, a Cliff's Notes. For those of you that remember, it's only when I got through school. I was confessing to Luis that I failed many times reading Of Mice and Men, and I'm glad that I was able to build an AI agent that actually simply allows me to do it. How difficult was it to build this agent? Well, it's obviously really, really easy. It's 2 blocks. On demand, user input. The user input here, see, we'll go through these, is of type upload file. And then I'm calling that variable book. This prompts me to upload a book. And then it goes and it calls one model and it says, create a comprehensive book summary with all of these things. And then it gives it the book. Right here is a variable. And then we're done. And we created Cliff's Notes. Any book you upload, this thing is going to give you this like awesome thing. If you're a student, this is my gift to you. I'm creating all the tools that I wish I had when I was a poor student in high school and college. Okay, great. So that's another example of that. And then I'll show you one last example of this. So again, let's be on whatever TechCrunch, and we're going to do this here. And so again, you can pin these AI agents, and I've got some pinned. One of the ones I have pinned is this little thing here, just says do this. And so the other times I've triggered the Chrome extension, you saw it just sort of started running and did things, but it doesn't have to just start running. Like it can also present these forms, these user inputs, and says, what do you want me to do? And what it means is like, I see all of this here in the browser. What do you want me to do? And I could, I could say extract all people, for example. And then I can say next. And this thing is going to say, great, I'm going to take all this content in here and I'm going to extract all the people that are mentioned in this thing. And so you can mix and match. You can make this run as a browser extension here. Let's go ahead and edit this agent here. And we can see that it's configured to run as a browser extension, but then afterwards is one of the workflow blocks here. It says, here's a user input. Again, the user input here is just a long text meaning text area. I called it do this. I say, what do you want to do? And then here, when it goes, it says, here's what the user wants you to do. Here's the page content, right? That comes from the extension here. It meets all the content that you see on the page. So it gets that. And then it says, hey, just, do this with this content. And so really easy to mix and match these triggers and user inputs and other things. Okay, now I want to kind of get it clear to you. I want to sort of demonstrate the pattern of things that you can do that with just sort of one block, right? So like these AI agents are, let's open these up again. We'll go to the store and we'll go to deep research. Again, those of you that took the last class have seen this. I'm going to make a copy. Again, get used to, you can just make copies of this. It doesn't cost you anything to make a copy. You're not going to break anything by making a copy. Make lots and lots of copies. Open up all of them. You want to really learn to build this? Go through the App Store, open up each one of them and see how they're made. If you don't understand it, look it up in documentation. I'll show you how to do that. Reach out to us. And you'll realize, wow, these are really, really easy, even the complex one. This is a one that's got a bunch of these blocks. But now, by the end of this class, you will be able to understand generally what they do. You might not be able to write them yet or configure them easily. We'll learn that in the advanced class. Like this block's got a bunch of these like launch parameters and output variables and parallel execution or not. Like we're not going to get into that. But like you can look through them and you'll generally understand what it's doing. And if you don't be afraid to mess with it, then you might be able to hack together a researcher that can do something very specific simply by making a copy of this. So they can be this complex. But more exciting, I think, is that they don't have to be this complex. And in fact, they can be extraordinarily simple. Here, let me just, again, open up a bunch of these things. One is our friendly TLDR, right? We've seen it. We can run this on any article. And here we go. And we get our little TLDR. I'm just going to open it up from here. And there's our TLDR. We're going to run it, and it's going to give us a TLDR. And so when we look at the TLDR, right, we can make a copy of it again. TLDR is a one-block agent. It's got one workflow, one block. It's configured to be run through a browser extension. And it just says, analyze this content, right? Format using Markdown. You'll see this is best practices. We'll keep talking about this. And then here it gives it the page content. You don't have to use this sort of XML format as it's known. Like you don't have to have these elements here. You can just say this will work just as fine. But when you've got a more complex prompt, it's good to sort of delineate these things with this thing. Okay, hopefully you guys are following along so far. Don't get scared of this. I'm going to show you what this is. We'll talk about it later. I just want you to understand what's happening here. You've seen already that you can reference variables by putting them into double curly braces. You can also give it these types of commands like if, else, if, and this is something called handlebars. This is a sort of internet standard way of being able to basically write instructions in HTML here. And so this says that if the user is selecting something on the screen, remember this is simplified this, what we could do here is go here, we could be in this article, whoops, come on, load. And so I could be selecting this and say, you know, blue sky, right? What is this blue sky they're talking about? And then if I click that button, then from this, what this thing says is if the user is selecting something, then use the user selection variable, which we get from here. So we get the user selection. What is the user selecting? And if the user is not selecting something, just go ahead and use the page content. That's all this thing says. But the point that I was trying to make is it's still just one generate text block. And you've got a simplifier now. So it's not a TLDR thing. It's something that simplifies. Or you can have, you know, things like this. Again, this too is a one block thing. And this allows me to run this on here. Let's look at it quickly and then we will run it. So you can see extract all people and entities, format as a markdown table, right? And so again, I could publish this thing and then I could run that on our thing over here. If I click on this, I get my published things and I say run. And so this is going to go and grab this thing and it's going to extract people and it's going to put it for us in a table. This is still, what is this? This is still just, again, a one block thing here. Let me close some of these tabs. It's the same pattern, the exact same pattern. So is it a TLDR? Yes. Is it a simplify this? Yes. Is it extract people and entities? Yes. Is it also an X profile analyzer? Right? And so if I go to, I apologize for taking you to Twitter. I don't mean to do that. But if you go here and you say X profile analyzer, and it's going to analyze Gary Tan's profile here for me, it's the same thing. It is just a one block pattern that does this. Okay, and so this can keep going. I'll read some other ones out for it. It's also the X summarizer where you can be on like any conversation that's happening and you know, click a button and summarize this. And so all of this is done by these single block things. And that's really important to know. And so the prompt matters. You start to say, well, why does this one put out this and another one puts out somewhere else? And that's what, you know, I kind of want to take you guys into. And hopefully, again, now that you've seen the pattern of this thing, you can see it. This format is markdown table. You'll learn, again, some of these other best practices of like, so markdown is a way, again, it's a standard, an internet standard that allows for formatting of documents, so bolding things or, you know, highlighting and making them italic, embedding images in them, creating links. It's kind of like HTML, okay? And so all of these things support Markdown. And so Markdown is your friend. Again, you can always go and look in our documentation and see various you know, Markdown examples that you can use, or you can just open up a new tab and you can look for Markdown, and we support all of this Markdown thing. Okay, other things that I want to quickly show you. And so let's say, you know, I was showing you a video. This works on a video, and this works on a website, but this is a PDF, right? This is a giant PDF. This is a financial, you know, filing, quarterly filing from Goldman Sachs. So a thing called fundamental analysis here that I'm going to open. I'm going to find it like this. Here you go. And so again, you can search for our agents and your own agents. And so I'm going to run this. And so what this, by the way, this is just one block. This is the same pattern. It's just one block. It grabs this thing over here, this giant mess, and then it runs through it and it analyzes it for you and creates a, you know, certainly good enough to really understand this fundamental analysis. Like, how deep is it? You know, if any of you guys are like, oh, well, you know, you need a lot more. Well, you got that with a click of a button. Then you can go and do a lot more, you know, on your own. But like all of this, how did this happen? Let me open this thing up for you and show you. It's just one block. It's the same pattern. Oops, sorry. Edit agent. Main flow, one block, generate text, conduct a comprehensive fundamental analysis. Now, this is a lot of words, and you're like, well, how do you like write all of these words? What words should you write? You know, I'll show you that right now. And so again, it's just a bunch of English words. What do you want it to do? and the page content. And so when you get the page content from here, from the Chrome extension, even if it's a PDF or a video or a web page or a spreadsheet, anything you sort of see here, that becomes this page content variable. You can then reference it here. By the way, do you need to put it at the end? No, you could put it at the beginning, right? And so this works. You can put it in the middle. By the way, this is why it's a good idea to sort of like sandwich it and give it a little context. Like this is the company. This is where the company thing ends. The rest is a prompt, right? And so all of this works. Okay, so how do you write? This is the next section. We're going to talk about these things. Like what should you write? Like you could just say, by the way, get rid of this and say, do a fundamental analysis, right? And let's go ahead and publish this. And let's go ahead and run that again here. And you can click here and you can just say new run. And so this thing too will work. It will do a fundamental analysis, but it's not going to do a fundamental analysis the way we wanted it to do the fundamental analysis. And that's what we were able to say in that prompt. So again, it's running here, it's doing the fundamental analysis. If you go to this debugger over here, you can see these things running, and this runs completed. Here it is, runs completed. Okay, and so this is how long it took to run. We'll get back to using this debugger, which is a really powerful way to be able to understand when you're building these things, what's happening, what kind of variables you're getting. And look, it did a fundamental analysis again. And is this one good enough? Is it what, etc. Not sure. But let's go back to this thing and let's go here. And so now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to click this little button right here. And this opens this up in a full page. And what we have here at the bottom is this little button that says generate. And what this means is for this prompt, we can have AI help us to generate a better prompt. And so I can say, do a fundamental stock analysis, on this company, and then say generate. And it will go off and it will generate a better prompt for us. And then we can edit that prompt and we'll do it again. Do you see what I'm saying? And so like, you don't even have to like really figure out how to write a great prompt. This thing can create awesome scaffolding, gather and review financial statements, blah, 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 calculate, analyze key financial ratios, blah, blah, blah. And here we might say, this is sort of it's saying gather, review. Maybe we want to do it a different way. And I can say, provided with a form 10Q, perform a fundamental analysis and say generate, and this thing will then say, oh, I'm actually going to get, I don't have to go do research. I'm going to get a 10Q here, and then I'm going to do that. And so it's going to generate the prompt for us, and then we will go and save it, and you'll see how easy it is to now build countless. I propose to you countless. There you go. Okay. Review the balance sheets, blah, 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 blah. And now we can go to this main flow. We've got this new thing here. And what it did, though, was it took away, you remember that thing, which is the reference to the variable. And so here I'm going to say, again, you can call it anything you want. It's just a delimiter. I'm going to call it 10Q. And then I'm going to end 10Q. Okay. And then in the middle here, double curly braces. And then we're going to say this page content. And then end double curly braces, okay? By the way, if you ever find yourself building things and then you're running it, and it seems like it's not understanding, that like it's not seeing something, like if you don't put this in, it will say to perform a fundamental analysis, here are the steps to do it. And you'd be like, I didn't ask you the steps, I wanted it done. Typically you've forgotten to give it the variable here, page content. Okay, so hopefully you guys grok just how powerful this pattern is of one, generate text block triggered by the browser extension, etc. Another thing I want to show you is in this one block is this do this thing in this context specifically. Let's go here. And so this is, I ran this for you from the Chrome extension. Here, let's go ahead and close this. I've got this little button here. I can say, do this. And so again, let's go back. So this is going to show me a form field, right? And says, do what? First, it's going to grab all this content, says, okay, what do you want me to do? And so remember how here we said in the prompt what we wanted to do and then passed it this data. And so this is like rigid. It's always going to do that by the stock fundamental analysis. But do this works similarly, but in a sense allows you to add the context in real time. And so it creates a variable called do this, which again, just using this long text and then storing it to a variable called do this. And then here it says, here's the page content, and sort of dynamically loads the prompt for me. And so when I'm running it on anywhere, I can say, you know, do a fundamental analysis, or I could say, extract all people mentioned in this thing. And so now the same block, you know, by making it 2 blocks, I was able to create something that now has context. And this is the same thing. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense to you, that as you can get, you get variables, and you can get variables either from people when this thing is running, or you can set them while you're creating this thing. And then you can mix them together, and you can say, do this, here's the page content, call a model, and then we get extraction of people. And again, depending on how much, there's a huge amount of data that it's going through to get all the people, but that's what it's doing on that end. Okay, great. So moving forward, I want to reiterate something, and let's build one from scratch. We're going to say create new agent. We're going to go to automations. We're going to hit start. We're going to turn this to browser extension. And we're going to say plus, and we're going to create a generate text block. And what we want to make is something that extracts all people. Let's do this fundamental analysis again, right? I'm going to click this right here. I'm not going to write the prompt. I'm going to click this. And here I'm going to say generate. And I'm going to say do a fundamental analysis. Oops, basis on this stock. And then I could say, again, given 10Q, if I wanted to, I can say generate, and this will generate this prompt. Again, don't be afraid to generate, test. You don't like it, go in it, manually modify it, or go back to this and generate again. And so all of this is, you know, helping you to build these things. And again, once this thing finishes running, here it is. We can look at this and again, edit it if we like it. We can go back. We don't want to forget to add, you know, the stuff on the company. You know, we tend to like to do it towards the end on this, but page content, spelling and and capitalization matter in these variables. I'm just going to leave it here. I'm not going to sandwich it in the thing. And then we say publish. And so we just built one of these. So start, new, browser extension, use a block by hitting plus, use this thing to generate your awesome prompt, edit it however you want. Don't forget to give it the page content. If you, again, scroll off of this thing somehow, don't worry about it, click this little button, publish it. That's your pattern for building countless AI agents. If you leave this class simply remembering this and feeling comfortable doing this, you're going to go crazy building custom tools for yourself. You're going to realize that no matter what your job is, that using this one little pattern, you can create these magic buttons. And if your job is to spend your life scanning, you know, reading court cases, court rulings, well, yesterday when Luis and I were preparing for this, it took me less than 2 minutes to make a court ruling thing. Just like I was just showing you this fundamental analysis one, I've got one for being able to read these giant court rulings, and it creates this awesome executive summary for a layperson to understand. Wow. Okay. So these, if you leave here with just knowing that one pattern, I've succeeded, and I claim that I've given you what I promised to give you at the beginning of this class, which is this like confidence of having superpowers to go in anywhere and do magical things. But wait, there's more. let me clean my screen here a little bit, and let's look at, you don't have to just use one block. And again, we already sort of played around with using multiple blocks. And so you can have things that use multiple blocks here. This thing, content LinkedIn, let's go ahead and edit it or open it. This one I made. And so this one has two blocks. It too is meant to be triggered from the browser extension. This one actually has this thing that needs to be changed. So mine's going to be broken. We haven't talked about this. You can set these things up if you click this plus button to only run on a specific either domain, in this case linkedin.com, or sub directory, and then everything in that subdirectory, meaning path, or a specific page. And so again, this is where you put this thing. If you only wanted this to run again on a let's say a LinkedIn, this is for LinkedIn page, and you only wanted it to run on, say search pages, and again, look at this path over here, and then you could say, people. And so if you only wanted to run on this people's pages here, get rid of this, on this, you could take this over here and then put it in here and then give it an asterisk, and it will only run on the search results pages here. I'm going to get rid of it here, but that's how you do that. That's really powerful. Also, if you pin it, it will only show up then on those pages. And so your pinned things are going to be much cleaner. You're not just going to get all of these showing up on these pages. You will only get the one that you wanted there, meaning it will show up here as well, not only be the one. Okay, so so what does this thing do? It says, get this thing from it, and it uses the same thing. It was using this generate a prompt for me, and it says go ahead and generate. You're an expert at breaking down these long form things. Generate these things, and then this is the way I want you to format them. It's giving it the metadata, again, that's coming from the browser extension, and that's the name, the description, open graph, and things like that. It's giving it, it's using, again, handlebars, saying that if the user is selecting something, use that. If the user is not selecting anything, use the page content. And it's taking that, saving it to a variable called post, and then it's simply using this display content block to say, here's the URL of the thing that we're analyzing, print that out, and here is the post. And when you run that, it generates a LinkedIn post for you. If you then wanted to take that and actually post it to LinkedIn, you could go to view blocks, and over here you see we've got this create LinkedIn post block. And then here you can, if you haven't authenticated yet with LinkedIn, it'll ask you to authenticate. I have, and so I can just choose my account. And here, see, this thing is configured to display to user, and so it stops here. But if we change it to save to variable, and sorry, I want to make sure we don't call it, this is, I'll call this post to post, because the other one was called post. And now we can go here and say, go ahead and do post to post. And so now we've, again, added complexity in these things in doing it. So multiple blocks give you that. Now, it's important to understand kind of what's coming out of these blocks, right? Like what is the default thing that's coming out of this block? Well, what you're going to get is the output of this prompt, and the output of this prompt is going to be in the text format. We also support other types of formats that we can configure. We'll touch upon them in a bit, but in the advanced class, we'll get really good at using this. And so this is clear. This thing returns text. But I want to make one for you now, just so you can learn, I think, a really important thing to know and feel confident in building. We're just going to create a new agent over here. And we're going to go here, and we're just going to use this on demand. And here, I'm going to say plus, and here, I'm going to say scrape URL. And we're just going to go ahead and scrape mindstudio.ai. And then we're going to call this, page result. And so then it's going to go and grab the result of the page on mindstudio.ai, and then it's going to save it in a variable called page result. By the way, we have another provider here, as we call it, called Firecrawl, that allows you to do sort of many more configurations here in advanced options. You can do a lot more than just like grab the content, but here, for these purposes, this is good enough. Page result. And so now we have something in a variable called page result. How can we see what's in page result? Well, one way to see what's in page result is to simply use a display content block and then say page result. Okay, so tab, there it is. And so now we've created this thing. And again, let's go ahead and just publish it. And we can see what it does. And I'll show you two ways again to see what it does. One is just publish it and open it. And this is sort of the amateur way to see what it does. Nothing wrong with amateur, by the way, it could be really valuable. Here it is. It like brought back, the top nav, and it brought back a bunch of content to the page. And this is a string, just a bunch of content. That's what this thing is brought back. Another way to see is to go into this debugger here. And again, when we run these things, we can run them in debugger mode, okay? And then say run. And we can see it right here running in our debugger. And we can see it running. And then again, in this debugger, there's a lot of data that's here. Data about me, the user that's running it, and kind of the current date, right? Then the scrape URL block, this is the data that's received. You can see it here. You can copy it from here. And you can see it's been saved to a variable called result. You can expand it if you want and like look at it here. So that's a good way of seeing the same thing that you just saw on that page. So this is the rendered version. This is the debugger version of it. And then you see, this next thing of like display the page result, and you get it here. Okay, so that was easy. That's just, whoops, the page result. Let me close a bunch of these things so I don't get myself confused. Okay, let's keep going. And I want to add another thing over here. Let's go ahead and click here and then say view all blocks. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to use this fetch YouTube channel block. And then I'm going to, you will see something here that says, first of all, it says, what channel do you want to fetch? And so let's just grab a YouTube channel. Any channel will do. And so we're just going to grab this and we're going to paste this channel ID in. Or again, I could have made an input field here and said, what channel do you want to grab? And use a variable here. So this can be a variable. But for my purpose, I'll do this and I'll just call this channel content. And then you see this thing says the format here is JSON. It doesn't give you any other options, just JSON. And so what comes back here is the thing that I want to show you. And you will encounter this JSON thing. Again, if you don't know what it is, don't worry about it for now. But you can see what it's like by, again, just running this right here in this debugger mode. And we can say run in debugger and run this. And it'll go and grab the data from the thing, and it'll show us that. That's the first thing, because we didn't delete these blocks. And so it's going to go ahead and grab that. And then, it's going to go and grab this other thing as well. Let's look at it in this. Okay, and so this is the page result. Oh, it stopped on this. Sorry, don't want to confuse you. Let's just run it in this mode. It'll be easier for me to show you what it's doing. Let's publish it, open it, and should have done this in a different way, but I'll reconnect it here for you. So again, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to show us the result of the go and get the Mind Studio web page, homepage, display it. That's what we're on now. And then it pauses because it's displaying the result for you. And then it creates this next button. And so when I click this next button, what this thing is going to do is it's going to go ahead and fetch these YouTube video channels and run that. Now, the problem, it's not going to do anything because we didn't put a display block here. And so here we're going to say, this is in a variable called channel content. We're going to say plus display content. And then here we're going to say channel content. And we're going to publish this again. And we're going to run it one last time. And it's going to go and grab the page. It's going to show us that content. Here it is. Then it's going to grab the YouTube channel. And then it's going to show us that content. And that looks very different, doesn't it? Okay. You get this thing. This thing is called an object. okay, a JSON object. And in this JSON object are a bunch of items. And so this is still data. And so again, once you know how to access the items in this JSON object, you become very powerful. I'm about to show you that. We're not going to get deep into it. But again, here I wanted you to see that it's important to sort of realize what comes back when you fetch a YouTube channel, for example, or when you scrape a URL or something else. And one way to see what comes back is by looking in the debugger and examining these things here. And you see there's that JSON that came back. So you can see it in here. That's one way in the debugger. Another way to do it is to put these display content blocks in. And again, you'd probably just only use them when you're debugging. For those of you that have like written some code, say JavaScript, console log. This is your console log. Show me what's happening in this step. Two ways, debugger or this. Okay, so very important as you guys start building these things to be able to see this. Okay, cool. We got that. Now let me show you a couple of other things here.
Dimitri, while we're talking about kind of debugging a little bit, can you
Mhm.
there's some questions about like spotting errors. Like there's an errors tab right next to the
Mhm.
debugger. Can we talk a little bit about
Sure.
like some common errors that people might find and what to
Um,
do?
sure, of course. So let's make some errors. Let's give ourselves some errors. And so let's say we were building this monstrosity that scrapes a URL, then just displays it to us, then fetches a YouTube channel, and then just displays it to us, and super simple. But we made some errors. And so we see these errors show up here. We can also see them over here in this errors tab. And these basically go to the same area. And when we click on this, watch, when I click this, this highlights the block where this error exists. So we can see where it is. And it tells you what it is. Message and generate text block cannot be empty. And so if we go at this and says, oh, we didn't give it a prompt. And so now if we give it any kind of a prompt, that error is gone. And then we can click on this and it says channel URL is missing. Kind of explanatory. If we give it a channel URL, errors are gone, no more errors. By the way, this will still error because this is not a channel URL. So it doesn't test that. You're going to find that error when you try to run it. But the errors that you find here are build errors that will show up. And again, if you run things that then has errors during the run, you will be able to find them in this debugger mode, and it will show you when a step failed. And then you'll be able to sort of work backwards and troubleshoot and see what are you passing into it and what is it returning. That's kind of the other important concept with all of this. Let's pause for a bit. And then maybe there's other questions too. Um,
Well, the other,
hopefully so far, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, just one last note. The other thing is like it's totally okay to publish with sometimes you'll see an error and you still want to test it out using that display block. And you can publish it even though there's an error in the side and still test it out in the front end if you want to as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah. And so important concepts, I think hopefully you guys have already grokked, but let me summarize them for you. First of all, feel free and say in the chat, is this connecting or you got, like, I haven't been paying attention. Like, are people understanding what I'm teaching here? Did you get that response after I showed you all those, like, what you can do with one block, that you get countless ideas of like little buttons you can create? Did anybody like have that kind of moment? Yeah, okay, great.
Hmm.
So if you grok that, again, my job is done. Now I'm gonna just like add to it. And so this is awesome. And so these workflows have multiple steps. And in each step, the block that you have has access to variables that have been set, uh, set either in many blocks before that or in the prior block. But if they've been set, any new block has access to those variables. We haven't talked about global ones. We're about to talk about that also, in long-term storage variables. These ones we've been doing just sort of exist during each run, and then they disappear. You can also do long-term storage. We call that global variables. We'll talk about that. But so all of these blocks have access to variables, and so in a sense, they have an input, and they all do something, and some of them do something and return something. create a new variable, for example, right, and return a result. And so as long as you understand that and you understand how to use the debugger to just see what's being sent in, like what variables are set, and then what is getting returned from a block, you'll be able to understand researcher and all those other complex agents that we have when you make a copy of them and open them up, because you'll be like, oh, I see what's happening here now. There's this variable that was set either in the step before or some other step. And here, this thing is doing this, and it's returning this thing. Oh, that thing is this JSON thing, this JSON object. But it doesn't matter. I don't need to know how that works. But now there's JSON object exists as a variable, and it's being used by something else. And then you can reference them by just putting them in double curly braces. So you can take all the variables you created in earlier steps and in one prompt, sort of put them all together and say, this, go analyze that. And so now you know how to create, just with that, countless, really sophisticated, really complex, multi-step things, Okay. So far, so good. Can I keep going?
Yeah, I think you're good to keep going.
Okay, great.
One thing that people are asking is like, is there documentation? So there is a quick help tab that maybe we
Let's
can
show those.
showcase
Yeah, let's
as
show all
you're
of those.
building, and then go ahead and continue.
Well, yeah, let's show these are great questions. Please ask. And Louis, please interrupt.
Yeah.
Because when people have these questions, I think this is priceless. So each one of these blocks, if you look here on the right-hand side, has a thing called quick help. And this is basically our documentation. Not basically, this is our documentation for this block. The other place you can find documentation, if you go to Mind Studio, and you go to the bottom and you go to developers. That's one way to get to it. Or you go to solutions and you go to developers. Here you'll see this thing called view docs or help.mindstudio.ai. And here we've got lots of documentation on, using all of these things, the workspace, building things, how to use variables, the stuff that we're going over now. How do you call a variable, with examples? How do you deal with some of these JSON variables that are available, right? Like how do you get to various nodes in the JSON object? And all of that is here. How to use this handlebars templating that we've seen if some variable exists, meaning if this is true, then print this, otherwise do this. And there's like many of these others. So documentation is your friend. It's easy to access by simply clicking on quick help. And again, different ones. Quick help for this one is going to say, here's the sample output. You see, I did this because so many people were sort of getting confused by what's coming out of this block. And we used to do it in this way, which would just say, display content. This is that console log. Now, again, if you're a pro, you can get rid of this thing. You don't need this even when you're building. You don't even need to use the debugger. You can simply look at quick help and you can see, okay, this is what this thing is going to return for me. And again, once you understand kind of dot notation, you can say dot about, dot description, or dot links, dot title, etc. Okay, so you guys are going to be masters of JSON in no time. Don't worry about it right now. I don't want to get you into it because I don't want to confuse you. Okay, let's take a look at this other thing, which I think is important to look at because it shows a bunch of other patterns here. Here we go. Let's make a copy of it first. And what is this thing? Monitoring change detection AI agent, web page monitoring. So periodically, you might want to build agents that aren't triggered necessarily from a Chrome extension, but that run on a schedule. Again, that you create by simply saying add, create a schedule. In fact, you can create multiple schedules. You could say at 3 p.m. every weekday and then create another one and say at 4 and 5 p.m. every weekend. And so you can add these schedules here. And when those times happen, that's when this thing is going to spring into action and it's going to go into this block. Now, these things that you see here, these are called notes. And you can create notes by using this. And so you can, draw notes. You can label things, so it's just a good way, either for yourself or if you're sharing with a friend, or if you're building for a client, to be able to basically explain to them what's happening. So let's quickly go through this thing. Again, I'm going to zoom out. You can see this thing actually has two workflows here, and then it's got a bunch of these blocks. But even though we haven't looked at these blocks, you guys are going to be able to understand what this thing does, and you're going to realize how powerful it is. So again, the first thing is this thing runs on a schedule. And then what does it do? Well, it takes in this URL right now that is getting passed to it. Sorry, this thing, let me kill this because this is going to confuse you. It's just going to be a plain one that runs on a schedule. And what it's going to do is it's going to check. Let's go and grab our terms of use. And I'm just going to grab a link to the terms of use. There it is. And we're going to put it here. And so it's going to track the Mind Studio terms of use. And I'm just going to leave this as is, current content. And it's going to run. And again, we can set it up to run every day at 9 a.m. Pacific. Okay, and so every day at 9 a.m. Pacific, this thing is going to run. And it's going to trigger. And what is it going to do? It's going to scrape. This is that scrape URL block. It's going to scrape the Mind Studio terms of use page, and it's going to store it in a variable called current content. And again, here, you can either return it as text or JSON. This one just returns it as JSON. And then there's some of these other things here that we're not going to get into. We'll get into in the advanced class. So basically, all you need to do is like put in this. By the way, if you then want to take this thing later and change it into looking at another web page and tracking another web page, you can just make a copy of this agent and just change this one thing. And now you've created a second listener, a second AI agent that runs on a schedule and looks at another page and another page and another page. So you can create a bunch of these and run them on these schedules, and they can all sort of be running together, on these schedules. Okay, so you simply passed it this, and then this uses a logic block. Okay, and the logic block, again, is just one type of the blocks that you have here by adding it. There it is, the logic block. And the logic block says what? It says, look at this thing called this global previous content. What is this global dot previous content? Well, global, so these agents have what are known as global variables. And so I'm going to go here on this main page here on the summary. And if we go to global variables, you can create global variables here manually, or this thing automatically creates global variables. Global variables are variables that last over sessions. So this is long-term storage of variables if you want to create. So it's like a database, right, that you can use to store things, right? And that's what this thing uses, is it says, hey, look at this global variable previous content. And if it's empty, that means this thing is the first time this thing is ever running. Go ahead and follow this path and set that global variable and end this and continue, right? If this thing is not empty, if it exists, then go down this path. And then it says, analyze this content and compare this. So here's the current content that I just scraped. Here's the previous content that exists in global variable storage. Here's the criteria to check. Sorry, we're going to get rid of this because we pulled this. This was initially meant to be called via an API. And it's going to basically look for changes for diffs, right? And then if there are changes, so if this comparison result, if there are changes detected, then go down this path. And if there are no changes detected, then display no changes and end. And then, it does all of this. And then at the end of it, it can send you an email. It can do, lots of other things. Here it sends an email to Luis. And so again, this is a template in a sense. Here I'm showing it to you as a demo for you to understand it. But we could make a copy of this and deploy this thing, and then make another copy and change the URL over here and deploy this thing and make it something else and something else and something else. And so I wanted to show you that these things can run on a schedule. They're really easy to take and configure. This one's a really powerful one. Track changes of anything. You could make it go and use, instead of scrape a website, you can change this one and, add a block of looking at Google Trends, for example. And we've got that in here and Google Trends. There it is, Google Trends. Or you can say and look at YouTube Trends. Or you could use this search X posts thing and monitor that. And if you're seeing things that are changing, then you can, again, use these global variables to store things long term and proceed. So this is a pattern. You remember I was showing you like the one block pattern? This is a bunch of block patterns, but this is really, really powerful. You don't need to know anything about this. There's nothing to do here. You don't have to change any of these things. If you want to turn this into a YouTube Trends monitor, change this block. You're done. If you want to if you want to track competitors' websites, just change the things that are here in the URL. Okay, so hopefully this made sense. I wanted to show you this because this is a really powerful pattern, and be on the lookout for these. Let's see. So now that you guys know this, maybe we pause here and take some questions. Otherwise, I will then dive into showing you some of these like more complex blocks, agents, in making you realize that even the stuff that you've learned already, you can look at all of these other really complex agents, and now you can understand what they do, and you could feel confident sort of playing around with them and making them work for you. And so all of the agents that we're building, and it looks like it's probably close to 100 now, that are in the store, allow you to make a copy of them and use them for your own purposes, customize them for your own purposes. Think of them as templates that you can copy and reuse. And again, I showed you one pattern, which is like one block, showed you how you can complexify it, and then you can go wild from now on. Like you know how to do this now. Are there questions that I should take now, Louis, before jumping into some of these more complex ones?
I see one that folks saw the logic block in this build. And could you
Uh-huh.
just explain the logic block
Mm-hmm.
one more time and what it does and how it works?
Yeah. Uh, let's do share. And again, all of this you can also find on our YouTube channel. There are tutorials, and you can find obviously in documentation, but I'm just going to quickly show you something here. And so we're just going to say my workspace, and we're going to say build, and we're going to say create new agent, and we're going to go ahead here, and we're going to create a user input, and we're going to say plus and create new. And then here, we're just going to say short text, and I'm just going to call this name. What's your name? Okay. And oops, let me go back to this. What's your name? Okay, so we created this screen here that's going to say, what's your name? And it's going to store that in a variable called name. And then we're going to go next, and we're going to say plus. And here we're going to say view all blocks, and we're going to add a logic block. And again, we're going to look at this logic block, what it does. Here we go, start, yeah, and so it puts the end here. I'm just going to put it here. This logic block, you see, is not connected. It says something needs to happen, and you need to connect it to something. It says then add a condition. Okay, and so this condition is, what's the case one of this? And here I can say the names match. And here I can say Luis and name. And so you can do it like this. You can say the names match. And so you're trying to create, is this thing true? Or is it false? And then it follows. So the name is Luis. I'm going to go one way. And then if the name is names don't match. And then again, you're asking a question, and I'm just going to make a copy of this, and I'm going to say this. Name's not Luis, or name is Dimitri, or something else, right? You get the point. So this is basically just a simple prompt that you can write in plain English using these variables, and you create one thing that is true and other things that are not true, or one thing that is and another thing that isn't. So these conditions. And then, and so if the name is Luis, let's go ahead and we'll create a new block over here, and we're going to display content, and we're going to say, hey, Luis. Okay, or we could just say, hey, name. Either one's going to work. And then we're going to go to this logic block. And so if the name is Luis, we're going to click this, and then we're going to click that, and it's going to create a connector. And then again, from here, I can just take this and drag it to end, and we're just going to be done here. And if the names don't match, I'm going to right click here and say block, and I'm going to say display content. And here I'm going to say hello name. Okay, not with W, hello name. And then again, here, I'm going to go here. And so if they don't match, we're going to send it here, and we're going to connect this here. And so now we just made this thing that evaluates some variable here that we've collected, name. If it's Luis, if the names match, Luis and whatever is here, it's going to go here. If they don't match, then it's going to go here. So logic blocks are really easy. You can create many conditions here. And indeed, people have created some like really crazy things with these logic blocks.
Thanks, Dimitri.
Yep.
We have, so what we're noticing in the chat, or at least what I'm noticing in the chat, there's a bunch of people with a bunch of different ideas of can you build this? Can you build that? There's also, I've seen in the chat, people are talking about what other capabilities are there in terms of the blocks that are available.
Yeah. Okay, great.
So we can
yeah,
kind of
let's
take
go
it in
through a bunch
whatever
of
direction. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go through a bunch of that. And so let me, looks like I got rid of my sheet here. Let me quickly, maybe Luis, you do some talking. I need like 30 seconds here to grab a thing if there are other questions for my demo here.
Sure, yeah. We have a bunch of capabilities that allow you to scrape various social media, pages and profiles. The best way is just to click on the plus button, and then you'll see a thing that says more blocks. And we have integrations to many, many different services. That list is constantly growing. Connect to places like LinkedIn and Facebook, Instagram, as well as finding emails using services like Hunter.io, scraping URLs. There are blocks that help you route your workflow and create these, sophisticated multi-agent workflows. So there's a bunch of stuff as you start to explore a bit deeper, and concepts that we're going to begin to tease out towards the end of this masterclass to kind of tease out for the advanced masterclass, because we don't want to confuse you, but we're still kind of just scratching the surface of what's possible and the
Countless.
kind of things you can build.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry to interrupt, Luis. Countless things on this. Okay. Can you see my screen again?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So again, really simple thing that I made here as a demo. LinkedIn people search to Google Sheet. And so called with a browser extension, says, here's the raw HTML of this page that I'm on. And so difference between page content and raw HTML. Page content is what is visible on the page. Raw HTML is what is behind the scenes of the page, all of this stuff, which is more information. Now, for you, raw HTML isn't very valuable, but an AI model can do a lot with raw HTML. So sometimes, if you're not getting the results you want, change referencing page content to just looking at the raw HTML, and there you'll be able to find all kinds of things. So this just passes in this raw HTML. It says, extract all people from this LinkedIn page, output as CSV, and then, for reference, do this. Oh, this isn't the one that I made. I'm sorry. Let me go find the one that I made. That's the one Luis made. Is this the one? No, I think mine would have been LinkedIn.
Dimitri, I think you called it LinkedIn people
This is,
search.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So extract all the people and their associated data from page content. So just scratch the page content. So I didn't mean to confuse you with that HTML stuff, but hopefully you guys learned that you can also get to the HTML. Scratch that for now. It's not what I'm going to show you. So extract people and their associated data, then convert this to CSV. So breaking things up into multiple steps, get the data, turn it into a CSV. Here's a sample output of the CSV, and then update Google Sheet. And so again, you can connect it to a Google Sheet. You can specify what you want it to do on the Google Sheet, like this one, add to bottom. And so then you can be, let's say, on a LinkedIn page of people. So if, like, part of your job is to like reach out to people and sort of go people collecting. You can, let me go ahead and publish this thing here. You can just click a button. And now it's going to grab all those people and it's going to put it in my LinkedIn sheet here. And I don't actually even have to wait for it to run. I can just go here and I can do a new run. And then I can go here and I can do a new run. And I can go here and I can do a new run. And so now this thing is going to grab all those people and it's going to fill in my spreadsheet here of all the people as it runs through it on this. And so I'm collecting people with this little simple thing that's over here. See, it just gets me all these people that it's bringing back. And to make this is like really easy. And again, so don't forget these other blocks of like post to something, write to something. You can store things in this. You can connect this to databases and all of that. Okay, let's look at another one as we keep going down the list of like interesting things for you guys to know. By the way, so the reason I'm rushing through this, let me take a step back. Thank you for being here and listening to this. You guys are the first cohort of this class. Hopefully we'll get better and better at teaching this. So thanks for being our guinea pigs. I think that all of you should by now, one, see that it's really straightforward to build these things, that even with just that one block pattern, you can build countless tools for yourself or for your coworkers, your friends, etc. They're superpowers with one block. And that it's pretty easy once you understand, how to see what goes into a block and what comes out of a block. It's pretty easy to chain these blocks together to do whatever it is that you want them to do. You also now understand that you can just make a copy of all the blocks that we're building, more and more showing up every week. And you can use those as templates. So you don't have to build these things from scratch. It's good to know how to build them from scratch. But once you know how to build them from scratch, you don't have to build them from scratch. And you can use this. And there are many different types of blocks. Luis was just answering for you. You know how to find them, right? You find them by clicking this plus sign, or again, you can right click anywhere and say new block. And then we give you some popular blocks here, but you can say view all blocks and you can just click on them and put them here. And then you can look at the quick help section and you can understand what this block does, right? On the configuration, you now know that you can put in a username there or a profile URL, store it in a variable. What's going to come back? Look at the quick help. That's what comes back. A tremendous amount of data comes back. Wow. You did that with one block. If you want to delete a block, you delete a block. If you want to add a note to something, you click on it. You add a note to the thing. You can change colors of the notes. You can change labels of the notes. And so you can sort of make it clear to people, to yourself for future reference, or to other people, like what is it that's happening here? Okay. And so with all of that, you guys are now in a sense masters of being able to build really powerful things. Again, especially if you're just making copies of this thing, like this template, for example, right? Or researcher, or etc. But there's more, and there's a lot more. Again, we really didn't get into these data sources, and we won't here. We didn't get into these functions. These are, you can, if you know how to write some code, JavaScript or Python, or if you're not afraid to, do some vibe coding and ask AI to write some small code for you. And again, we actually make it easy where we've got all of that built in. So our own AI can write, this code for you using this generate thing, just like we generated a prompt. You remember back in the day, we had AI generate a prompt. We can have AI generate custom JavaScript or Node functions, but we're not going to get into that here. That's an advanced class. What I do want to show you and tease you with it is something, again, that's extraordinarily powerful that you should know about Mind Studio. And we can do that. Let's demo it by going to YouTube, and let's pick a video, and let's open this up, and let's run this YouTube to executive summary thing. And again, we're going to let this thing run here. But in the meantime, we're going to go here, and we're going to find it. And we can find it in YouTube to executive summary, and we're going to make a copy of it so we can see what's inside of it. So it's running here. This one takes a little bit to run. I'll show you why. And then, but this is it. It's just got one flow. It doesn't have any functions, doesn't have any data sources. So don't be scared of it. Okay, one other thing here. So we've been sort of ignoring this thing over here, the system message, system prompt. We'll cover this in advance, even though this is a simple thing. But if you are to really leverage it, I'll cover those topics in advanced class if you guys want to come to this. But it's self-explanatory. You can give this agent basically sort of higher level. What is their role? What does it do? And here you go step by step. You tell it what to do. So here you sort of set the context of like, what are you? You convert raw transcripts into clear, concise summaries. You filter unnecessary content, right? And so you can give it a system message, and that system message then gets sent along with every model call that we do. So we don't have to sort of like rewrite those things. That system message is always available. But what I wanted to show you, again, I need to get this thing to finish running so we can get our output. What does this thing do? The first thing it does is it uses this fetch YouTube video block. There's two ways to get content from video. One is click a button like we're doing here, and it gets passed in this page content variable. Another one is you can use our fetch YouTube video block to get content. And in this case, what it's getting is all this like really deep metadata about the video. And so we allow you to grab this deep metadata about the video. And again, if we wanted to actually see that here, we could simply say plus display content, and we can give it this variable of video. You see we created here. And we could say video again. So we can do that and publish it and run it. Or again, we could look at our debugger and see what's coming back from video. I'm going to delete this. But that comes back with a JavaScript object. And then this thing is done. And so let me show you what it generated. I'm going to at the bottom here, so I can download it, can open up in a full screen. I can share it, make it public, etc. I'm just going to open it up full screen. And so it's got this image here. And this looks like a web page, meaning this doesn't look like, Markdown. This looks like it's HTML, and indeed it is HTML. So this thing was able to generate HTML and give us this dynamic data from this website that we triggered it from. How does it do that? Again, all this thing is doing is just getting a bunch of the data that we're going to use here in order to get like this image and some other things from it. The other thing it does is, again, just calls a model, and it says create a written summary of the video. And again, this was done obviously by simply clicking here and generating this prompt. And then it comes back and it says, oh, here's the page content, right? Here are the captions, basically. When you call page content on a YouTube video, what you get back is the transcript. So it works special on YouTube videos. Page content holds what is actually the transcript. Over here, it knows how to find. If you keep going down here, there's a transcript of this thing. See, okay, and then it stores down in the thing called article, and it uses this other type of block called generate asset. And this is what I wanted to show you. So the generate asset is a special type of block. We'll go over it in depth in advanced class. But what it allows you to do is it allows you to create an HTML template. See, this is just HTML and CSS in handlebars. And here you get a preview. And again, you can sort of show this preview or collapse the preview, show the code or collapse the code. You can test it, etc. And it says, here's the template. The template, by the way, has a picture of Zuck here. And, the video has a title, then it's got this overview, then it's got a title of a section and this timestamp and all of this. And so all of this is created by this HTML. And then I'm going to get rid of this preview. You can see that we are passing into this HTML variables. So there's the article.title. Remember, article is the object that we got, that we generated here. Article is this JSON object that's got the title, the subtitle, and this. And so now we're saying, great, we're going to use that and we're going to pass that. Whoops, it's in here. We're going to pass that into here. Article.title is going to give us the title of the video. Article.subtitle is going to give us the description here. The thumbnail, and sorry, not give us. This is setting that, right? Saying that the OG description of this should be the article subtitle that was generated. The title, page title of this page should be the article title that was generated by the model. And then here's the video thumbnail that we got from this video object here that we collected when we grabbed all of the video metadata from here. And so that's where we're getting that video.video.thumbnail. Okay, and that goes here into the head. Again, you guys don't need to know all of this. For those of you that know HTML, you'll be like, wow, this stuff is really easy. Like this is just basic HTML and CSS. So what does this mean? It means you can generate things that are structured in every way imaginable, like infographics and web pages and graphics, because with HTML you can like composite things, you can do all kind of memes. Countless things can be generated now dynamically by using these HTML templates with some basic HTML, CSS, and simply injecting into it variables and again some handlebars. Let's take a quick look at this. Again, it's just the T's. And so what this thing does, you saw, is it's got the video, the thumbnail, it's got the title, it's got the description, and then it's got a bunch of these things where it's got like the timestamp, the name, the paragraph, and the key takeaways. And here's another one of those: the timestamp, the name, the description, and the key takeaways. And another one. So it does a bunch of those. So how do those get rendered? Where here, it's in this section right here that those get rendered. There they are, the key takeaways. And here you see it's using, I'm going to make this a little bit larger, it's using this handlebars iterator, it's called, each. And it says for each thing in the takeaways object here, for each element, go ahead and display that in the bullet and basically loop through all of them and then display them. And this generates all of that. And then again, here's the end of it, and it puts in the URL, and that's it. So really easy. And so those of you that know how to write HTML and CSS, wow, what you've got now is the capability to again, get your head around this. You can generate countless things. You generate PDFs, you can generate presentations, you can generate sales collaterals that look like ultimately polished print materials, you can generate dynamic websites, countless forms, you can generate countless things just by understanding this template. That's what we're going to do in the advanced class. We're going to go deep into this, and that's when you guys are going to get you can get even more excited. Okay, I'm going to stop here for now. And so we made it our 90 minutes. Almost 200 of you are still here. I'm happy to stick around, take questions, potentially show you some other things. And maybe if you can indulge me here for a moment and give me some feedback on stuff. Were any of you on the fence about like, I'm not sure I've got any use for this, and now I'm excited, I'm going to go make a bunch of things. Like I've got a bunch of ideas of things to make. Do we have any of those people? Answer with like a yes or stuff like that. Or yeah, where can I go sign up for the next class? I'll take that as a yes. Loads of ideas. Need to quit my job. That is not crazy, because this is the most in-demand job there is. Clearly, again, think about it, look around. This is what people want. Okay, so advanced is next week. Before you guys show up to advanced, I need some things from you. Okay, I'm giving you this free class. And I'm going to ask for something from you. What I need is for you to go and play around. So when you show up to the advanced class, you guys are ready for that thing. And so before that advanced class, log in, build a bunch of these things, look at a bunch of the things by making copies of them. If you are willing to, it would be awesome if you shared them in our LinkedIn group. Whenever you make something, just brag about it. Hey guys, I just made this. And people will be like, oh, I never thought of using it in that way. That's awesome. If we can get that going, people can level up. Like, this is a community you guys are building. You guys are a cohort. And now 178 of you are a cohort. Together, you can level each other up in a huge way. You can partner. You can all make money. By the way, that's the other thing we're going to teach in the advanced class and in the following class, which is, okay, now that you guys see that you can build incredibly powerful and valuable things, one, you get to outfit yourself with these like insane superpowers where you're going to dominate competitively because nobody's going to be able to compete with you if you can push a button and do this and they can't. That's one. The other thing you're going to see is like, holy crap, this thing is so valuable. I'm going to go and quit my job and get promoted to being, an AI agent builder. And there's insane amount of demand and money for that. Every company, big or small, in every country, in every industry, needs to be more competitive, create bigger yield from the people that they have, be more productive, lower their costs. All of that to them hits their top line and the bottom line. The return on investment is clear. It's not some fuzzy, oh, if you implement this new SaaS platform, whatever. No, it's none of that. It's like, look at how much more productive, how much more yield, how much cost savings. And when you do that, they write any check you want. If you're solving big problems, you can take stuff from them. You can say, I'm going to make you 50% more efficient and you pay me 25% of that. If you want to work on commission, you could do it like that. You can say this is going to cost $10,000, but it's going to take you, an hour to build. Okay, so we're going to teach you all of those things in that class. That's where we're going. That's where I'm taking you guys. I'm taking you all to quit your jobs and go do this. Because one, we need you. Two, all these customers need you. And like that's our, I've confessed to you why we're giving you this free class. Because it's in our best interest to get you guys feeling like that so that you can come help us get this to the entire world. Okay? Okay, any questions other than when is the next class? The next class is next week. You guys have homework assignments, do that. Please post in the group. The more you guys share in the group, the more other people will learn. And so that allows us to scale ourselves. I'm counting on you guys to help us scale us by you guys creating things, sharing them in the group, sharing them outside of the group. If you create public posts on whatever social network you use, we really appreciate it. We'll engage with them. We'll bump them up, right? This is feedback for us. It's feedback for your friends and colleagues. It shows people that you are on, you're advanced, you're going to advance. They might say, oh, it seems like you're going to be, building AI agents. I don't want to go take the class, but I've got needs. Okay. So that's the stuff that I want you guys how to think about this. Yeah. Please tell your friends. And then I haven't had a chance to really see the chat very much. But as I'm scanning it here, I'll hang out for a bit. Luis, don't stop the recording because I want to kind of get through the chat. Looks like some people are going to stay. Guys, so I'm going to take questions. If you guys want to come up to the stage, you can do it. You're interested. We want to keep you interested. We're going to stick around. Go.
Thanks, Dimitri. Yeah, we have a couple of folks with their hands raised. First up to the stage. Giorgio, I believe you are the host of this call. Could you?
All right, yeah. Let me do that. So I just do allow to talk, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Cool.
Altara AI, welcome.
You might be muted.
You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Dimitri, I am following you like a leech. Like I'm literally latched onto this entire Mind Studio thing. It's blowing my mind. Like,
no wonder my arm's been hurting.
Yeah. Trust me, right? Like when I onboarded last week until the I think that was the new session, like the intro session. I thought I had seen it all, right? Then this advanced class. Remember, one of the sessions last week, you requested for a specific use case that would be so exhaustive. And I remember posting in the group on LinkedIn that I wanted an end-to-end where we could see you ultimately wrap all your agents into one API that could ultimately be called by services on the cloud, regardless of the cloud. And then we could all wrap that into one product for a client and package it for sale or on a subscription basis. So right now, you're saying the advanced class is likely going to take us to that. And I'm keen, and I'm literally like on steroids right now, waiting for that class. I wish it could hold right immediately after this. Now, to my question, I would like to know specifically, I just want a straight answer. How do I get a client, for instance, to pay for the easiest agent I can build right now, to pay for the agent, an agent I can build off Mind Studio right now? Is it possible that I build just an agent right now on Mind Studio and get him to pay for it? One-off. Is it possible?
Of course. Yeah, again, pick anybody. Go find somebody that you know that is in some kind of a business, that they make money doing something.
Okay.
And look at what they're doing. Say, what do you do on a daily basis? Ask them. And they'll show you what they do. And you're like, oh, I can just make you a button that does this stuff you're doing here manually. I make you a button that allows you to do that. Will you pay me?
Okay, fine.
However much.
Fine.
And they'll be like, yes.
Okay, like for data security reasons, right? Where this agent might have to, feed on their data. That is another particular angle I would like you to touch on, right? And then again, let's say, for instance, like you have just taught us how to use that generate asset thing, where we could, if you understand HTML and CSS and all of that, you could literally just wrap your output from your agent into a dynamic website, and ultimately that is a full-fledged solution, right? Yeah. And you have a client say, okay, good, can you isolate this into my existing infrastructure with nothing to do with it? I just pay for your subscription, I just pay for your service or whatever. How do you get to isolate this entire bulk into my existing infrastructure? That's the key point I would really like you to address.
Okay, so there are a couple of questions there. One is security, and one is this, how do you integrate into your infrastructure? So let's take them separately. On the security stuff, again, if you're building for a client, you should create a new workspace for your client. All you gotta do is say, create a new workspace, give it a name, give it a logo, etc. And invite them into the workspace. Like if you want to give them access to this agent that you're going to build, you invite them into the workspace, and now you guys are together in the workspace. It's a workspace specifically dedicated for them. Only they and you can see what's in the workspace and use what's in the workspace. And there in that workspace, you put this agent that you've built for them, or many agents that you've built for them, right? And again, you manage the workspace, they manage the workspace. You can make them a member, or you can make them a manager. It's like a bunch of things, depending on how many rights you want to give them. Are they actually going to help you build things, and do you want them to be able to see, edit these things, or are they simply a user and they don't get to build these things? So that's sort of security and isolation. I'm not going to cover kind of the security of in transport of how this stuff flows. I covered it in that first class. If His Majesty's Revenue and Customs trusts it, I think you guys should too, in being able to do it, so etc. So that's one, the security question. The integration question is for the advanced class, and that has to do with API. So the fastest and easiest way to integrate this into a stack and have it sort of be in the background is via these APIs. And so these agents expose, APIs, and we will show you how to call those APIs, and we will also show you how to, from inside of your agent, call other APIs. And so the thing I'm going to tell you is you can integrate this with every stack that exists. As long as that stack has APIs, this thing can be integrated in countless ways into that stack.
Fantastic. Thank you. One last question. So just like you did an extension that I could call on my Chrome browser, yeah? Let's say a company that has an internal, interface where they're their work interface, right? Beautiful. Can I Can you just think, we'll wrap your head around this for the next advanced class, where we can possibly build an extension and they can call it on their internal web page that they
You can
use?
call it now. You don't need to build an extension. These things are just links.
Okay.
You can call them by pushing a link. So you can turn them into a button in this internal system. They can add a little button on a page, and they click the button, and that launches the agent, or they can make it a link or bookmark it, or it's everywhere. Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful.
Thanks so much for all the great questions. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up to the stage, Anisur, welcome again. I realize these are all folks that came to the original class, and so we're seeing. Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen.
Yeah, it was Stephen. Yeah.
Stephen Cohen.
Thank you so much, Dimitri and Luis. This is fantastic. This is really ultimate. I've been working on automating media processing for many years, and there's a lot of cool things that I could do with this. So the first thing is, while we were doing a class, I was running a simple research people, and all my checks are completed. I've hit notify when finished, and it seems to still running. Is it locked up? If everything is checked off, even down to send message, shouldn't this be finished running?
Yes, periodically. Again, we're living in the world of relatively new types of technologies that we sort of expect to work. Periodically, they have hiccups. If you see that, just run it again, or sometimes you refresh and it rendered. And so don't get, I mean, we all get frustrated if periodically this happens. Don't worry about it. Just run it again or refresh it.
So I just did a cancel, and then I'm doing a new run. That's great.
There you go.
Okay, so that's fantastic. I have some ideas, and I could certainly play with the applications, but I would like to know if there's an ability to engage with one of your people to do a one-on-one prior to the advanced class, to work with one of you guys on a one-to-one.
I think the best way to do it is to be in that LinkedIn group. And ask there. I'm sure there are people who will join your study group, we'll call it. And
exactly.
We'll participate. Exactly. We are super busy, and so unfortunately, we obviously can't give you guys one-on-one, but people there can, and there's lots of people, and we'll watch. And as you guys are working through it, we will nudge you and solve your problem. Like, use that group. So we're in that group all day, every day, and so when we see you guys asking questions there, we can get things answered. Or also, the other thing that's important is use our community area, right? Luis, can you post that in the thing? It's just community.
I saw that and I captured that. So basically, to do a study group, we would each have our workspaces. We could just open up a Zoom call. We could share our screen.
Exactly.
And play that way.
That's right.
All right, fantastic. And then the last speaker, the idea of building something and sharing your workspace is absolutely awesome. So and we'll learn that in the advanced class, how to make someone accessible to a single, button on how to use it. And then we could lock off all the things. They couldn't look under the hood. They couldn't figure out what we're doing. So we have some protection of our IP or your IP that we're managing.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to bail.
Thank you, Stephen. Look forward to seeing you.
And look forward to seeing you on the advanced class. Take care. Yeah. You've got a great product. I'm very excited about this.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Stephen. Okay, Anisur, welcome back to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much, Dimitri and Luis. It's very fascinating, and I have got the team, but all people are actually working on it. So there was a little hiccup other day, is because when we put the input, our team wanted to put like a yes or no or don't know sort of, like a button sort of thing. So I hope you're gonna cover it in your advanced class, or if you give some insight on this, please. Thank you.
How to create a user input that has yes, no, or other?
Yes.
That's really easy. If we go share here, and again, we can just create a new one. Don't be afraid to create new ones, just to play with for fun.
Obviously, it's fun.
And so here you hit plus, and so you can
Yep.
do it from here, and you can say user input. You can also go here and hit plus, same thing. And there are different types of user inputs. Look on the right-hand side. The text, the short text, just like this. The text choice, this. And so this looks like it, huh? And so whatever it is that you're asking, it could be yes, no, or other.
Don't know. Yeah.
Don't know, whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that choice is stored in a variable. This one's called input. And here after that, we can, we can put the block. Sorry, so we've got it in here. We also want to put it on the flow here. And so we want to add it. We created it here, and here we're going to add it. And we're going to choose this one we created. And so now we're going to do that. And then here again, we could put a logic block if you want to then test that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically for the electronic health data. So yeah.
Yeah.
The-
Yeah, we'll go more into this as we
Yeah. And then API integration will be coming up next.
Yes.
So we'll definitely post some video on it, and hopefully we'll be get it going. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next up to the stage, we have Anil. Welcome.
Yeah, hello, this is Anil Garg. So we are a IT consulting firm based in Chicago. We provide the consulting services in cybersecurity. I see a lot of use cases specifically in cybersecurity, which we can build because our clients, they definitely look into what are the new vulnerabilities coming through, so we can scan through a couple of major websites or whatever it is, and we can build that. They can, instead of vendor notifying them and there is a delay that they are learning a week in later or a couple of days in later, we can spontaneously tell them this is the vulnerabilities. We see a lot of use cases in our practice. So looking forward our team to catch on this product and build some of the like as Dimitri was saying, that buttons for our clients. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Really amazing.
Thank you so much. I see
Okay.
somebody saying, can we connect to SaaS tools like ServiceNow? Yes, you can connect to any SaaS tool because all SaaS tools support APIs. And certainly people are connecting to ServiceNow and Salesforce. Yeah, but literally any. And again, that's what we're going to cover in the advanced class, like how to make that connection, right? Like how to use that, how to use this with other tools like N8N, for example. So some of you may have heard of N8N or Zapier or Make. You can use MindStudio in conjunction with those tools, or sometimes as a replacement for those tools. So depending on what you're trying to do, you can use them together, or you can just use MindStudio and it'll be faster and easier to do it for stuff like that. So we'll cover all of that in the advanced class. Yeah.
Thanks, Dimitri. So next up to the stage, we have Ryan. Ryan, welcome.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So I was on the first course, and now obviously doing this, I'm looking forward to rewatching because that was an absolute shit ton of stuff. So I'm gonna need to absorb it a little better. But I've been working in Agentics. You guys have a customer engagement platform, and we do a lot of marketing and online presence and lead pages and blah 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 blah. So super familiar, and I can tell you guys just real quick that I've been on a lot of no code agentics and creators, and we've been doing something from scratch for years. This is a hell of a mousetrap, Dimitri and Luis. You guys are doing a really good job, and you're really going to help a lot of non-technical people catch on quick. And I think you are going to do exactly what you said. You're going to provide a lot of opportunities for people to make a few dollars and be very, very helpful to a lot of clients, especially agency people. But now, having said that, that was just my high five to y'all because it's a nice mousetrap. I love it. Yeah, there we go, Luis. I got you. I hit my screen. I got you back. So here's a couple questions I had, and maybe it's a little forward thinking, but what would be really great, you guys, is if I had a Chrome extension that I could deliver to my clients. like you guys have the extension for you. I'd like my own because I'm going to make them dozens, if not more, of tools that I can already identify. About 15 of our clients right now that need about, at least 8, 10, 12 of these things that'll just absolutely create a lot of stuff. So my point is, if I had that Chrome extension for them, that wasn't obviously yours, that would be very helpful. So I don't know if that was even considered or you thought about it or anybody's asked. I'm sure somebody's been like, I want my own. I want my own. I want to give
Yeah,
it to
look,
my
this
client.
is we've certainly we get requests all the time for sort of like customness and custom that, and they totally make sense. It's not planned at this moment for us to provide sort of that. But again, because Mind Studio agents, when they get published, they're just links. They're just API calls or triggers. You could call them in a sense from any kind of a Chrome extension.
That's true.
Yeah, so you get somebody to build you a Chrome extension. If you want, you can go wild and vibe code a Chrome extension, and like the
Right.
Mind Studio is ultimately sort of integratable into anything weird idea you've got, and so go for it. You could certainly get it done. The other thing, of course, you could do is you can get your clients to simply install the Mind Studio Chrome extension, and you load up for them, the agents that you've built.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
then you don't have to go and do any of this weird custom stuff. You can just do that.
Yeah, my fear is this shit's so easy they won't need my ass, then they'll get rid of me.
That's a great question, Ryan. Actually, thanks for asking that. I think a bunch of people have thought this, and I think it's a really important question. While the question totally makes sense to ask, in reality, that is not what happens. I'll tell you why. By example, it used to be that the music companies, right, were terrified that, boy, if people could copy music, they'd never pay for it. They sued all of these like peer-to-peer networks, Kazaa, Morpheus, etc., out of existence. And then people said, well, how is Apple ever going to make money, or Spotify or Pandora, when all of this content is available for free? You can just get it.
That's right.
But people are, have other things to do. The savings that they're going to get from trying to bypass you are not worth it for them. And your creativity and your ability to build these and run them, it's much easier to pay you and much cheaper as like a time thing than to try to knock you out. And for anybody that does, it doesn't matter, because how many customers are there out there? Everybody. Every company, every group in every company, every person in every company, every individual is a customer. You can sell this to individuals inside of companies. We can say, hey, dude, I know you don't like making these things. I make them. Let me make these things for you. You pay me what? And again, it could be like one time, it could be for an ongoing where I fine tune it for you, because you're building them these amazing, again, custom superpowers that allow them to excel in their job and get promoted, to beat the competition, to work less so they can have a side hustle, because it used to take this amount of time to do their job. Well, now it takes a fraction of the time. So now they've got time freed up and everybody's happy. So don't be afraid of that thing,
Right. And to your point, nobody ever really buys a product. Nobody ever really buys that. They buy you. And if you're delivering a value, they're going to keep staying with you. So I agree with you.
Exactly. Yeah. So by the way, again, thanks for asking that question. I think that's really important. I think a lot of people get stuck on this. And this is a big unlock for all of you. Like, this is the third company that I founded as a founder. I've now raised over $140 million for these companies. And every time, you start a company or you build something new and you talk to investors, they ask this stupidest question ever. Well, if it's so great, why hasn't somebody else done it?
Yeah.
And the reason that somebody else hasn't done it is because they got stuck on something. Oh, well, if I do it, I'm not going to be able to protect it or whatever else. And so they don't do it. And that's dumb. Don't do that. Don't worry about people stealing your IP. Don't worry about people, cutting you out of something. Just go build and sell. Solve problems, and you're going to be rich.
That's the truth.
Right?
And the world's
it.
going open source anyways. Everybody's going to get used to this anyway.
Totally. Just go
and
take their money.
I'll I'll land my plane on this one. I don't know if this is going to be too far, but we are building MCP servers right now. We're having a lot of fun. We're learning a lot. We're building some really cool stuff. Will you be introducing some MCP solutions? Will you be infusing that? And then, not to go way too deep, but Keras, stuff with Keras right now is really intriguing the crap out of me, and just curious. But mostly the MCP, man. It's just so much easier, and I don't know if you're going in that direction.
Yeah, you can integrate this with MCP. And
Okay.
so you can already do that. We'll touch upon it. I wasn't going to get deep into it in advanced class, but what I will touch upon stuff. The point is, like, the thing for you guys to know, again, what I want to leave you with, like, I'm trying to, like, give you the best advice I can give you from my vantage point with my hat. Go and take everybody's money. Go and solve problems for whatever companies you want to deal with. And you already know how to build these things. Go play with them.
Right.
Hone your skills so you feel comfortable, just like I do, just like Luis does. We're like, we can crank these things out, superpowers, in a matter of a couple of minutes. And so you can be sitting then in a demo with somebody, talking to somebody, and they're like, oh, well, I do this like repetitively. Can it do that? And you're like, hold on, let me build it for you right now.
Yeah.
And literally build it for them on the call and say, like this. And that's when they're going to say, can I hire you? Because actually I have a lot of those things
right.
to build. That's the first thing they're going to say. And you might say, well, I don't want to be hired. You know, I'm a lone wolf. And they are going to chase you because they need these superpowers. People love superpowers. Okay.
You nailed it with the gentleman right before too, when you said, and I'll part with this one, but you nailed it with that gentleman before. Everybody forgets to ask that very important question. It should be your first one. Let me ask you, what is your problems? What's taking you so much time? Like that's the first question you need to find out. Because as soon as you do, this platform makes it really damn simple to go ahead and solve a lot of shit really fast. So
yeah.
you got a hell of a thing here, man. I'm looking forward to the next class.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. We'll see you on the next
Louis,
class.
get busy. Get that thing posted on YouTube. We need to rewatch this thing tonight.
Yeah. And again, please, if this excitement is awesome. I love it here. If you guys are willing to post this to social media, that really helps us. Like, I'd love to capture this excitement and get people outside of this call to be able to see it. Again, we'll promote it so you guys will get more attention, like join the group, etc. Thank you, Ryan.
Awesome. Thank you,
Ryan. Okay, we have one more hand. Senthil, welcome to the stage.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks, Dimitri and Luis, for setting this up. Really excited. This is my first webinar that I'm attending to. Basically, I'm a DevOps, DevSecOps, managing the cloud infrastructure all these years. I have 20 plus years of experience, and in my company personally, I think we are looking into going with AI, ML. And my specific question to you is, how do we achieve or implement MLOps pipeline with Mind Studio? Is there any agents available, or is there any option that we can use this Mind Studio to build those?
Yes, there are many things you can do for building an ML ops pipeline that would include Mind Studio. And so again, it would really depend on what, your use case, what part of it you're using. Certainly not something that we would answer here, and also not really in the advanced class. Again, you'll learn a lot of things there that you yourself will then be able to figure out, but we're not going to focus on that. But the short answer is absolutely, no matter what it is that you are doing, whether, again, ML ops to marketing, to sales, to product, to whatever, once you understand that you can break those things down into processes, into workflows, and that you can trigger them at the right time, and you can do stuff with data, and you can analyze things, and you can call things, and you can update, and then you're like, okay, I got this. This is a Swiss Army knife for every endeavor you have, certainly including creating an MLOps pipeline.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Yeah, I look forward for the advanced class as well, and let us know when the registrations are open. So
Yeah, we'll post
I
it in
love
a
to
group.
join. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
so much.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, we have another hand raised. Zahir, welcome to the stage.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, really, this is really amazing product, and what you're doing is great. I'm really excited about it. My domain has been data analytics and looking at the systems and then data warehouse and all that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering that there's a need to have real-time data analysis done, and then usually when you build pipelines and then application we push that data to data warehouse through Fivetran or some other tools, and then from there it goes to some transformation user. Either you use DBT to build models and then use Tableau or Looker to report that. So I'm just wondering that if we can completely bypass that and build some agents that can directly pull that data from those applications like Salesforce and Marketo and combine that data and then just have those analytics done on the fly, and then there's no need to have those pipelines built and push that data to data warehouse, and from there you use these other reporting BI tools. Is that something that we can build those kind of agents?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, depends on how complex those pipelines are, what else is there, whether, this completely doing it in Mind Studio and sort of replacing those things, or simply sort of re-architecting those to be more efficient, less expensive, smaller licenses from those other vendors. There's like countless things you can do with Mind Studio, either to completely bypass existing solutions, like build a new thing that's AI powered and get rid of a bunch of SaaS, or take about your stack and refactor it and now do it much more efficiently, faster, cheaper, etc. So connect to any data source, and so meaning that you can sort of integrate at any part of that pipeline. You can integrate directly to whatever the data warehouse, the data lake. You can integrate to some other API sort of in the middle of the pipeline. Countless flexibility. It's a crazy world we live in, that like I can say, oh yeah, you can do all of that, but like that's just the reality, which like everything's become because everybody understands how to connect to APIs, and we've got OAuth and like all the things, then like we're able to do this.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we don't have any more hands raised. We can check the chat for a couple more messages, and then maybe we'll wrap up.
Oh, we have a hand raised now, actually.
Oh, we do have a hand raised. Jess, welcome to the stage.
2 hands raised.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll hang out. I've got a hard stop in 20 minutes, and so
Do you have enough
you
coffee?
guys can have me for another 20 minutes.
I've been
Then-
told I speak way quicker than anyone's ever met, so I will be quick. So first of all, this is mind blowing. We love this, and I actually would love to connect with you privately. We have one of the industry's largest educational programs for business consultants in AI, and I can see all of our students using this and having really great use cases. As part of that, I would love to get certified, but I personally am not a developer by trade, so I am a business consultant and I train the certification programs in business scaling. Is the developer, are the partners certification programs built for non-technical people, or is it sort of requiring a technical background?
No, you can, they're built. So the short answer is that you can absolutely do it. You can get certified. You don't need to be a developer to get certified. We live in a new world, like over the last, couple of years, and every day it's sort of getting more and more clear that the ability to write code and sort of like write and troubleshoot and do all of that is becoming is still super valuable. Meaning, if you can do it, that's great.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be able to do it in order to be able to get all kinds of amazing things done. And so it's getting sort of less and less important to know how to code, that because using these workflows, like we didn't write any code today, right? We didn't write a
absolutely.
single line of code, but yet we were able to create. And again, I teased you because with those patterns that I showed you, you can create millions and millions of applications just with those patterns, never writing a line of code. And then when you need a line of code, it's straightforward if you don't know how to do it, to partner with somebody or to work with an AI to help you do that. Again, we didn't go into it. We have a thing called the workflow architect that like is a helper. You can call it like a crutch that it will help you do that. So don't worry about not being quote unquote technical. This is the new technical. You see, after this, if somebody says to you, are you technical? Well, your answer should be damn right. Are you technical? I'm a master AI agent builder. How much more technical can you get? Just because you can write some low-level code doesn't make you more technical. This is the new technical.
Completely. So I was more wondering, because I understand that on the user level, I was more wondering if the advanced partner certification programs would require sort of skills within integration of complex tech stacks, etc. So, but then
they don't.
Really
yeah,
necessary?
yeah. No.
Okay. All right. That's great. That's great to know.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you.
Again, if all of these are great questions to also ask again in the community and in the LinkedIn group. And so keep asking questions, please. Like, we love questions. You might think that other people don't have this question. I find that completely not true, right? Like, all of these questions are awesome. So please keep asking. Okay, more hands?
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you, Jess.
Next to the stage, we have Ashish. Welcome.
Hi, Dimitri. Once again, your energy is contagious. I should say that, right? I mean, when I see you talking here, I could see that you're getting ideas, like, looking at top, and you're getting more and more ideas from there. Anyhow, I have a stupid question to ask. I was working on a product as an agent, and I used a create new agent, and I was working on it with, your generate AI feature. And it gave some error, which was like I was scraping a data from a site and putting it into a Google Sheet. And of course, I did not put a Google Sheet LinkedIn reference or Google Sheet reference there. And when I was trying to find out where to put it, or, you spoke about some variable to put it and stuff like that, I moved back from your creation portion to the main stage, and I lost the entire project. Is that something that happens?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think I know what you're saying. You were building something and then you decided to run the workflow architect in the middle of it, and the workflow architect sort of rewrote all the things?
No. So
No?
the architect worked fine.
Okay.
I was doing a debugger test, and a debugger test, it told me that you haven't specified the Google Sheet reference, the Google Sheet link, or the code that we have to put in there, right? And so I was trying to find out where to put that particular code, and I went from the create agent section to the main section, which is the workplace. And when I'm trying to look where the draft code is or something like that, I don't see it anywhere.
Ashish, you know what? This is a great thing to like take offline and again ask in the community. Somebody can help you troubleshoot it.
Sure.
I kind of want to keep these questions on like higher level, or it looks like Luis might.
There is actually one tip that I want to give, and I'm, again, without looking at it exactly, we're not going to be able to 100% solve it, but I do want to just share my screen really quick, because you have different versions every time you publish your AI application, and you can always revert to a previous version of the application. So if you go into this top section, you can see versions here, and you can go to any previous publish and restore that particular build. So if for some reason you end up using the architect and it deletes things in your workflow, or like you deleted something on accident, you can always revert back.
Yeah, but if it isn't published, then it wouldn't show. It wasn't published. I mean, I was still checking, and then I went back or something, so it was not saved in any format. So that's where it disappeared.
It's
so
saved in drafts. If it's not published, it should be in your drafts section.
All right, sure. I'll check.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Some folks are asking about certification. We're updating certification, guys. So I'm super excited that all you guys want to get certified. I've done my job. Louis, high five.
Yay.
So that's great. And I'm glad you guys are excited about the advanced class. I'm excited to take you there again. Go play around, make noise, be in the group, help us level everybody up. We are going to give you a clear path to certification. Again, we've had many people get certified. We've learned a bunch of stuff from the certification program. And so we're going to sort of have a new and improved thing. So before you jump in, don't worry about certification for a moment. Get good, right? Like, get good, start making money. And then we'll figure out how to get you guys all certified and in the sort of shortest way possible, okay? And so I want to reduce speed bumps for you to all these things. Build, sell, make money, get certified. That's the path. Yeah, it's not build, get certified, make money, or even worse, it's not get certified, then build, then make money. That's the wrong path. Build, make money, get certified. That's the path I'm going to take you on. You guys cool with that? Okay.
Yeah.
At least Luis is cool with that. I'm always like watching the chat. It's my only feedback. Yeah, I really like doing this when I can see people's faces.
Yeah. It's a big.
I think that's
big
what we're going to do in the
difference.
advanced class. We're gonna keep the advanced class, the advanced classes, I think, even smaller, to see if we can get you guys. So we'll have to figure all of that stuff out, and so there's gonna be limited room. I mean, we'll get everybody through, but I want to make sure that you guys get attention. Okay, so
there's one more raised hand, so I cannot reach at all. Yeah.
Richa, welcome to the stage.
again, we still have time, so I've got another 10 minutes, so we can have more than one raised hand if you want.
Hi, Dimitri and Louis. Nice to meet you. And Dimitri, what a great class, like just amazing. So excited for this. Just quickly, I am not a coder or a developer. I sort of work more in the business domain side, but I have led enterprise size IT teams. But I am wondering, so have any of the large scale software providers, like someone to the tune of like Salesforce or some of the large PLM providers, have anyone experimented with this? And what kind of pushback do you see from like CTOs or CIOs, especially in terms of like any security concerns when you're leveraging this platform to connect with their enterprise, scale software that's implemented across organizations? Like what have you heard, I guess? What's the
Yeah, so this is being used in a bunch of large organizations. Again, some that we've got sort of a right to talk about, like His Majesty's Revenue and Customs and Advance Local, which is a giant publishing company, and then others that have actually, whose names have been mentioned here earlier as these giant infrastructure companies who use it, but we kind of haven't cleared with them that we can mention their names. So certainly it's being used in environments that are large, complex, have offices of CTO and CIO, and security and privacy and compliance are extraordinarily important. All of our growth is bottom up. And so we don't go out and sort of knock on doors of CTOs and try to sell them on the use of Mind Studio. We just allow anyone to start using it, and it sort of gets brought into these organizations by their employees bottom up. Once it sort of gets a hold there, typically then that's when IT gets involved and enterprise licensing gets involved. And that's when we get to sort of get the attention of security, privacy, office of the CTO, et cetera. And so what they all want to know is, like, how's this thing built? How's it architected? How is data stored of the data that is stored? How's data in transit? And again, we explain to them kind of how all of this stuff works. We're a really thin layer. that is an orchestration layer that makes it easy to leverage all of these cloud services, these model providers, scrapers, etc. As long as you trust the services that you're leveraging, and there again, do you trust Microsoft and Google and Amazon that are operating these like cloud infrastructures that allow you to call them via API and do inference on data? If you trust them, then check. Again, transport is encrypted. We store very, very little info. All of it is stored encrypted. And again, it's simply basically to facilitate the workflows. Call this first, call that next, right? Yeah, so generally we haven't seen any major, actually any in a sense, and any pushback from a security or privacy standpoint once people sort of open up the hood and understand how it works. But again, we haven't gone out to try to knock on their doors. By the time they see it, a bunch of their employees love it and can show great ROI. And so they're like, okay, this looks like good enough. I'm not going to stand in its way because they love it. And I don't see any like major vulnerabilities here.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that's great because I can certainly see exactly what you're describing, a bunch of converts that, people trying to get their daily jobs done and then suddenly realize, oh my God, this is saving me oodles and oodles of time. I was asking because I can definitely see pushback from, established software companies that were like, okay, well, this is adding a lot of functionality to this platform, something that we hadn't thought about. And, it's just like, how can we prevent this from happening? So
meaning
that's sort
existing
of
entrenched players
exactly
that are like, so whatever, Salesforce, let's say,
yeah,
or ServiceNow, et cetera, that have part of the stack already. And now all of a sudden here comes this employee that says, oh, I'm using this. And now they've converted a bunch of their other peers to do it. And these companies aren't going to like it.
Exactly.
You're right. They don't.
Yeah. Okay.
But who cares, right? Meaning that the company, the customer does like it because what the customer wants, the organization that's using these like services, right? They want efficiency, they want productivity, they want yield, they want competitive speed, they want intelligence, and this brings it to them. And so long term, it's absolutely reasonable to extrapolate that this new behavior of people being able to build their own tools really easily. So marketing people being able to build their own custom AI-powered marketing tools is going to dramatically impact SaaS marketing providers. And that is true. And, Satya Nadella has been speaking of this, where he said, SaaS is dead. I too have spoken a number of times. You guys want to look for me on YouTube. I've done a bunch of podcasts where I've talked about that. The future is custom tools for everyone. Doesn't make sense to license off the shelf, rigid, sort of these monolithic platforms at all. Like that, those days are over.
100% agree. Dimitri, thank you so much. I just really enjoyed this. Looking forward to the next class.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, I feel like that's a good place to cap this thing, Dimitri. What do you think?
If you guys can't tell, I like doing these, and so I can always stick around more. But I think Luis is right. Thank you, 72 of you that are still here. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. Please join the group. Feel free and add me on LinkedIn, right, Luis, etc. Please talk about us publicly. That really helps us. That's really valuable. We really appreciate it. Please practice building the things, post the things you've built into the group so that others can help you and others can benefit. Your creativity is the ultimate thing. You don't need tech skills anymore. But the creativity you have of, I'm going to use this one button pattern, not one button, one block pattern I showed you, and I'm going to build this thing. This thing is cool. Let me post it to the group so other people see it. And then they celebrate you being creative and awesome, and they might use yours. And then other things, they're like, oh, that actually gave me an idea to build these other two. And then they post it. And that's how everybody's going to level up here. The number of use cases here is literally countless. And so let's go together and sort of enumerate all of them. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you guys so much for being here. Next time we're going to do it so we can see your faces. And then we're going to make it super interactive. Thank you so much.